I'm Dr. Dana Udall-Weiner, and I'm glad you're joining me today. We live in a time when obsession with appearance and weight are common. The diet industry, which rakes in nearly $60 billion a year, bombards us with the message that if we're thin, we'll be happy, successful, powerful, and lovable. So it's no wonder that many of our children have developed a preoccupation with their size and shape. But how do you know if your child's concern about appearance, weight loss, or food has gone too far? How do you know if your child has an eating disorder? Well, ideally, you'd be able to ask your child directly whether she is struggling with food or body image. And perhaps you've tried this. But most parents find that their children are unable or unwilling to talk about this issue. So parents are left wondering whether to bring up the topic and risk angering or offending their child, or whether to remain silent. And all the while, the child might be getting sicker and sicker by the day. Today, I'm going to teach you a 4-step process so that you can understand exactly what an eating disorder looks like and whether your child has one. In part 1 of this video, you'll learn about signs and symptoms. I'll also explain why it's often hard for parents to determine whether their child is really sick. In part 2, I'll describe traits and behavior patterns common to people who suffer from eating disorders. And I'll provide you with tools so that you can monitor your own child's functioning. Keep in mind that you should not attempt to make an actual diagnosis with the information you learned today. Only a trained professional should do that. And this video is not intended as a substitute for professional help or treatment. But research has shown that parents can play a crucial role in their children's recovery. By learning about eating disorders, you'll be better prepared to share your concerns with your child, and you'll be empowered to make informed conclusions about how she's doing. Before we get to the steps, I'd like to talk about 2 factors that make it difficult to determine whether your child has an actual eating disorder. The first has to do with the widespread prevalence of dieting. When asked, many teenagers will deny that they have an eating disorder and say that they're no different from all their friends who diet, skip meals, take an occasional diet pill or laxative, spend hours in the gym, or even throw up after eating. A 2002 study found that up to 12% of middle and high school girls had either vomited or taken diet pills, laxatives, or diuretics to lose weight. A 2003 study showed that 1 in 10 high school students had taken diet pills, powders, or liquids in the past 30 days. And in that same period, 13% of students had fasted for at least 24 hours to lose weight or maintain weight. 6% had vomited or used laxatives for weight control. This research tells us that among adolescents, especially adolescent girls, these behaviors are fairly widespread. And as a result, they begin to seem unremarkable and even normal, especially to the teens who engage in them. In some sense, eating disorders consist of behaviors which are familiar to many of us: restricting our caloric intake, eating more or less than our bodies tell us to, and even over-exercising. But what makes an eating disorder an eating disorder is the presence of a particular group of symptoms, the frequency, duration, and intensity of these symptoms, and the extent to which these symptoms impact a person's functioning. Unlike casual or occasional dieting, full-blown eating disorders are considered a form of mental illness, one that has psychological and medical components and which can be life-threatening. Often, it takes an outside observer, such as a parent or a therapist, to help the adolescent recognize that her behavior has gone beyond so-called normal dieting and crossed over into the land of eating disorders. But even parents have a hard time recognizing whether their child's behavior has gone too far, in part because so many parents have also struggled with their own weight or body image. If you've spent some of your own life dieting, battling weight gain, or restricting yourself to so-called good foods, it might be difficult to evaluate whether your child's food patterns are really all that problematic. But keep in mind that eating disorders start very often when someone goes on a diet to lose weight. I'll repeat that because it's so important. Most eating disorders start when someone goes on a diet to lose weight, as simple as that. So even casual dieting is potentially dangerous and can indicate that your child is headed toward an eating disorder. The second thing that makes it difficult to determine whether your child has an eating disorder relates to the fact that eating disorders thrive in secrecy.